Bring back rock.
Hey everybody, it's Dean. Welcome to Bring Back Rock. Today I'm talking about a band I've wanted to talk about for a while, and a number of you guys have requested them as well. It's Electric Angels. They kind of rose from the ashes of the band Candy. They don't sound a ton like them. That happens when you change a lead singer sometimes. Main songwriter is the same. It's Jonathan Daniels, and he is one of my all-time favorite lyricists. Top 5 for sure. But when he was back in the day, he always carried around a spiral notebook, jotting down turns of phrase or wordplay or ideas for song titles, quotes he heard, movie quotes, whatever he thought of, he'd write down in this book. And I think he wrote down a lot of great stuff. There's a lot of clever lyrics. And a number of other guys think that as well. A couple people from big bands, as a matter of fact, and we'll hear about them in the video. They kind of borrowed from Jonathan. But without further ado, let's just get right to it. Let's talk about Electric Angels. All right, we cannot talk about Electric Angels without first talking a little bit about Candy, as Electric Angels rose from the ashes of that band. Candy, at the end of their tour, parted ways with singer Kyle Vincent, and it was decided that Gilby Clarke would take over on vocals. Now, they auditioned a bunch of new vocalists for the band, including Riki Rachtman of Headbangers Ball fame, and Riki remained a friend and supporter of the band even after not getting the gig. So they moved Gilby to vocals, and they added a second guitarist, Ryan Roxie. After giving it a go, Candy called it quits. Gilby formed the band Kill for Thrills, and the remaining members, John Schubert on drums, Jonathan Daniels on bass, and Ryan Roxie hooked up with New York transplant Shane on vocals and formed Electric Angels. Now, as I said, Riki Rachtman remained a friend of the band, and he was putting on a show called New Year's Evil in 1987. Both bands played the show. I'm not sure if both bands debuted at the show or if they both just played at the show, but either way, Kill for Thrills, Gilby Clarke's new band, and Electric Angels both played at New Year's Evil in 1987. Electric Angels continued to gig and showcase Southern California in 1988. Now, Candy had a manager named Howard Marks who also managed Kiss. The guys became friendly with the band, and Electric Angels were able to tap Kiss guitarist Bruce Kulick to produce some demos. One song, now I heard two names for the song, You Put the X, like the letter X, in Sex, and Put the X in Sex, X-E-X, like ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend. Either way, it's pretty interesting that Kiss recorded a song called Let's Put the X in Sex soon after for their Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits album. In the fall of 1988, the band decided if they don't have a deal by the end of the year, they were going to head to New York City. They didn't, and in January of 89, they headed to New York City. After about 10 gigs, they were signing with Atlantic Records and picked Tony Visconti, best known for working with T-Rex and David Bowie, to produce the album. Electric Angels' manager at the time was the same guy that signed Bon Jovi, and he suggested to John to check out the band, which he did in a club in Sayreville, New Jersey, and he became a fan and supporter, even stating in an interview that he would take them out as opening act if he were about to tour, which, unfortunately, he wasn't, or things might have turned out differently for Electric Angels. He did, however, pay homage to the band and Jonathan's lyrical brilliance. In Electric Angels' song True Love and Other Fairy Tales, Shane sings the line, Our bed of roses has become a bed of nails. In Bon Jovi's Bed of Nails, John sings, I want to lay you down in a bed of roses, for tonight I sleep on a bed of nails. So both Kiss and Bon Jovi borrowed from Jonathan Daniels' lyrics. Electric Angels' song The Drinking Song became a hit on New York radio, even though it was never a single. The single was Rattlesnake Kisses, which was played on MTV's Headbangers Ball, though it didn't gain traction or heavy rotation, even with Riki Rachtman hosting and supporting the band. But the video did include a very hot, in more ways than one, Christina Applegate. She was Kelly Bundy on Married with Children at the time. Let's just take a moment to appreciate Christina Applegate. Now, the band really did struggle getting any promotional help from the label at all. Even when they did, it didn't work out. Here's an example. They requested posters to put up at club shows for advertising them, as there was virtually no promotion or help. The next day, the label sent them a giant box of promotional posters, but unfortunately, it was for the similarly named Electric Boys, not Electric Angels. Ugh. You may remember the Electric Boys from their minor hit Lips and Hips, which was a pretty cool tune. After the tour, the band split. but soon reconvened to cut demos once again, aided by Tom Visconti and his son. Now, the guys also befriended a worker at Atlantic Records named John Separano. Now, he'll come into play in just a moment. Here's where I need to mention that those demos they were recording were eventually released as Lost in the Atlantic, because they were signed to Atlantic Records. Lost in the Atlantic, which is on Demon Doll Records. You can get that right now. The band did, however, just eventually call it quits. Later, however, they would rejoin Jonathan Daniels, John Schubert, and John from the record company I just mentioned to form a new band called The Loveless, who released A Tale of Gin and Salvation independently in 1995. I got my copy after hearing the awesome song The Return of the Ex-Girlfriends on a Paris Records music sampler. And someone once wrote, I'll give them credit if I remembered who it was, that Candy wrote the ultimate teenage angst album, Electric Angels released the ultimate young adult angst album, The Loveless released the ultimate middle-aged angst album. So I fully expect all these guys to get back together and release the ultimate senior angst album in about 15-20 years from now. All right, so after Electric Angels, Ryan Roxie worked with everybody, a bunch of people, including Slash and Alice Cooper, and doing solo stuff. Just look up Ryan Roxie and you'll find a bunch of stuff that you've heard him on. Jonathan Schubert, he became a teacher. Now, he reached out to me after someone forwarded him my Candy episode, which is really very cool of him to do. I really appreciated him reaching out. Had nice things to say and mentioned his students find it a hoot that their teacher was once that guy in Candy and Electric Angels. Jonathan Daniels started Crush Music, a management company. They discovered Fall Out Boy and have clients like Sia, Fall Out Boy, Green Day, Weezer, Rick Springfield, and more. As I said in the Candy episode, I hope this little company can make a go of it. Shane, a.k.a. Tommy Riggins, a.k.a. Tommy Riggs, a.k.a. Shane Mansfield, released a solo album called Blue Movie, which I haven't heard, so if anybody out there has it, get in touch with me, please. And in 2019, released Shane and the Unbelievable Truth. It's not in the style of Electric Angels, but you can check it out on Spotify. In 2022, he underwent a liver transplant. He had been sober since 2020. Thankfully, he's still kicking and I believe still making some music. So that is a bunch on Electric Angels. Now let's hear some music samples and I'll catch up with you at the end of the video. Oh, and I just found out the Drinking Song was released as a single. At least a single on disc and to the radio stations, but not a video. Alright, let's get to those music samples.
And I'm too old to die young. I'm too young to die. I'm caught in between reality and dreams. Sometimes I wish that I could fly. Fly. fight. No one was right. We'd swear we'd never be like that husband and wife. We were so naive then at 17. Yeah, we believed in true love and other fairy tales. Our bed of roses has become a bed of nails. You keep the ring and go tell everyone we failed. So much for true love and other fairy tales. Suicide, suicide bride. The end of the summer's over. Don't need her anymore. She used to walk on water. Now she's walking like a whore. When she walked by, all the boys got whiplash. And was her hard luck hero when she was my grown-up girl. Yeah, when she walked by, all the boys got whiplash. We were gonna change the world, but the world changed.
All right, so that's a little bit on Electric Angels. Where can you find them? You can find them. Both albums are on Spotify. Lost in the Atlantic from Demon Doll Records is on Spotify. You can also buy it on Demon Doll Records, and so is the original. But if you bring up Electric Angels, they actually come up in two different spots, and one for each album instead of you normally click on the artist and both albums are there. Not set up that way on Spotify at least. So Demon Doll Records for Lost in the Atlantic, the demos that would have been on the second record. And the original album is getting a little bit pricey. If you want it on vinyl, unless you have a lot of extra money you're willing to spend, it's going between like $350 and $500 on vinyl. CDs even going between like $35 and $50. So it was re-released on Rock Candy, but it's no longer on their website. That was over 10 years ago that it was released by Rock Candy Records, or re-released by Rock Candy Records. So you're going to pay a little bit for the albums, but you can find them out there on streaming. So go check out Electric Angels. All right, that's it. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will catch up with you on the next episode.